long journey the film has to accomplish. The producer of YOMEDDINE. And I'm going to ask the first question to AB. AB, YOMEDDINE is your first feature film, but your very first short film in 2008 had a title that was The Colony. And that colony was a leper colony. So can we say you've been working on YOMEDDINE since 10 years?
I guess, yeah, in a way, you could say 10 years in the making. I had the idea there. So I had the idea for YOMEDDINE while shooting this documentary. It was a faint idea. I didn't even know if I was ever going to be able to make it, just because of all the issues that come with it. Like, I don't even know where to start. And around 2013, I started then writing the script. And from there, I think you can say 5 years of actually making it and 10 years of like having the idea.
At the moment, you were in New York studying?
Yes, I was finishing my studies at NYU and writing this feature script. And I always said that for my first film, I want to go back to Egypt and shoot it there because, just want to do something.
Home.
Yeah, I want to do something like in my home country, make a film about home in my home country. And that's, that was the idea for it.
Okay. Question here.
Yes, hi, congratulations for your film.
Thank you.
I know that the film wasn't easy to produce. Would you tell us how did you get the financing of the film?
Okay. I don't know where to start with this, but our first big grant actually came from NYU. And this is what helped us to kind of get little crumbs along the way. We also crowdfunded, so that was friends and family and people we don't know. We're giving money on Kickstarter, I think it was, and there was funding from Tribeca in the end during post, but more funding started to come in during post. But during the shoot, it was family. It was our money. It was really wonderful private investors that don't really have anything to do with cinema, but they believed in the script. They believed in Abu, and they wanted to see it come alive. So it was really there were a lot of phone calls made to people I hadn't spoken to in a really long time. But yeah, it was mostly, some grants, a lot of family, friends, our own.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously very difficult because of the nature of it. I'm a first-time filmmaker. Dina's a first-time producer. Foreign language film, the non-actors, no stars, leprosy. Like the issues were endless, and it's not a very attractive thing for funders. But we were very lucky, obviously, friends and family, and then crowdfunding. But also some private investors that really really helped us. They weren't really in film, but they helped us out. And also, I'm very gracious to to NYU, who give us a lot of grants.
That was a start. Really.
Exactly. Like we had some money in place, but then they gave us enough money to actually be able to start production. So we were very grateful that we had people that believed enough in the film, even though it was I admit it was a very difficult subject to fund.
They're right, they were to be confident. Question.
Hello. Here.
Yes.
My name is Jordi Oliva from TV3 Television of Catalonia. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Okay. Congratulations for your film. Many films are miracles, but this one looks very much like a miracle. So my question is, how did you find these two marvelous actors, the two main characters, of course, and how similar, how close are the actors to the characters? And if there's a reason why they are not here?
Yeah, so for Radi, who is playing Bishay, I spent a lot of time, when I shot the documentary, I spent a lot of time in the colony there. And I originally wrote it for a woman who, by the time when I was done with the script, she was too ill to be able to do it. So I was looking for other people, and Radi was the first one to walk into the door when I was looking at people, and he had this really amazing energy about him. He was just an amazing person. I even started talking to him about the script, and he continued the story. He said, "Oh yes, okay. So this and this and this happens," and it was basically what's happening in the script. So I just thought that was a very good sign that this is the right person, even though. You're not supposed to cast the first person that you see, but then I started looking at other people just to make sure that I'm not crazy, but I found myself going back to him every time. In terms of Ahmed, who plays Obama, I spent many weeks casting children from Nubia, and when I couldn't find anyone, I flew down to Nubia to find someone there. This is how I got the name Obama, by the way, because there was a boy there called Obama for no reason. They just called him Obama, and I thought that's a good idea. Let's call him that. And then I was back in Cairo. I just couldn't find the right person, and somebody told me that there's another film set shooting, and there's a boy there that always just hangs out there. He just shows up and watches, and you should look at him. So I went there and talked to him, and again, just a miracle, kind of like that we found these people. Like just the amount of really, really great, coincidences that happened. We're very grateful for that. And sorry, your second question was. Yes. So slight yes and no, because for example, for Radi, he has leprosy. He's been cured from it. He lives in a leper colony. But I think the key difference is that he has a good relationship with his family. He still sees his mother and his sisters. He travels to them a lot. He is from the south also. He travels to see them a lot. So that was a key difference, that he was not dropped off there and forgotten. With the boy, no, not really. I think he was a great kid who has a lot of he had the same energy as the character in the film. Definitely the same energy, right? Like he's just really amazing boy, and why are they not here? Is a bureaucratic issue, because they never traveled outside of Egypt. They didn't have passports. We got them passports, and we got them the visa on the same day of the flight. They finally got the visa. Unfortunately, when we got to the airport together, it turned out that the visa was for France only, and we were flying. We had a layover in Zurich. So for some reason, that was considered. They said that they're not allowed to board the flight for that reason. Even though I think if they don't exit the airport, it should be fine. I don't understand the rules really. But so the time was very short, and we were not able to make it happen, unfortunately. But we promised them, because we have the passports right now and we have a visa. We promised them that hopefully, if we get another premiere and we get to travel with them, that they have to be there with us, because it would be amazing for them to actually come and see the fruits of this really hard labor and be able to experience this. Specifically Radi, he lives in a very different kind of world. Even when I told him, hey, we're going, the film is being screened abroad, we're going, he never asked me where. Because for him, outside of Egypt is outside of Egypt. He didn't ask me if it was France or Germany or Spain. So, yeah, I wanted him to experience this.
Hello, I'm Mervet Milad from Akhbar El-Yom, Egypt. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I would like to know how the adventure that came you up till Cannes. How did you do it?
Coming up to Cannes?
Yeah, to present your film at Cannes.
Okay.
What are the steps before coming here?
Well, let's see. This film, like I had said in the beginning, it was very difficult to make. We had a lot of rejections. Let's put it this way. There were a lot of people that said no. And even when we had the film ready, it was very difficult. And We were very lucky to have some people believe in us enough. There's a lot of festivals said no. We didn't really believe that Cannes was ever gonna happen, and yeah, it did. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is a shock for us. So we didn't really plan for this to happen. We just made the film. We put in as much heart and as much energy and effort and hard work into it. And whatever happened in the end, we just went with it. And so this is what happened. So there is no formula, I guess.
No, I mean, I think you should never make a film that is aimed for any specific, like either Cannes or festivals or Oscars, or like you shouldn't make a film thinking that. I think you should make the best film that you can for yourself and the film that you believe in. And if it happens to go to Cannes, then that is amazing. But you shouldn't. That shouldn't be the main plan. The main plan should be like make the best film that you can, make the film that you believe in, and the film that you think you want to watch, the film that you are passionate about.
I think it muddies your what you put into the film. If all you're thinking about is an award or a festival or some kind of recognition, and you can't put your entire self into a film and be completely not selfish if you think about awards or festival or the recognition that comes afterwards. That's not the focus for us as artists, at least. And the focus is telling, truly sharing a story with others. And making the best film possible.
And on a personal level, like sharing an Egyptian story. Like it was very important for me to show a side of Egypt that you don't necessarily see all the time. You know, just seeing people and just people, you know, living their lives. You know, I mean, Egypt is a beautiful country. Like, there's so many things that we don't really get to see, and I try to show that in a way. Like, even the pyramids that sequence in the pyramids, we didn't choose the famous pyramids that everyone knows. We chose one that is abandoned that nobody really knows, that is really far out in the desert. Like, we wanted to show something, like just a different image of what is out there. Yeah.
Grandissimo Federico, congratulations for the movie, very strong movie. Can you talk to me a little bit about the road movie element? How did you insert? Because we were very much fascinated by this while they were on train and the road. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that goes back to the idea of like trying to show the country in a light that is not a normal light. Like we never really go into Cairo, which is the center of Egypt, basically. I wanted to show like try to show the entire country from north to south. And since in the leper colony, when I was shooting the documentary, I saw that the leper colony is in the north. A lot of the residents are from the south. I thought it would be great if you actually, I mean, it's such a great opportunity to have a guy, you know, it's almost like David Lynch's The Straight Story when the guy takes a tractor and travels across America. This guy, all he has is a donkey cart. So he goes, takes the cart and just travels and see what happens. Because he's told in the beginning that he's going to have a lot of difficulties, you know, traveling on regular methods of transportation. So I think it's road movies have a very specific charm to them because they make you able to tell a story about like a country that you don't necessarily always see.
Hello, Mohammed Alal from Algeria. So first, congratulations for the Egyptian cinema. My question, I have two actually questions. One is about your experience. You start with this film and you find yourself in the competition in Cannes. I think it's a very big challenge in the future. So how do you feel about that? So you'll be a lot responsibility. You take the Egyptian cinema very high level, so you'll be very criticized in the future if you can't stay in this level. number two is about the film, which is, I think, would start like a documentary. We feel, why you have this character? I mean, if another director, he will think, let's make a documentary about this. It's not a feature. We can't bring this people. So why you choose to not make a documentary and you go to the feature, long feature film, and you make it like an actor? He become an actor, this guy, actually. Famous, maybe.
Yeah. For the first question, I understand the pressure. I mean, I understand that this is Cannes. I am nominated with people that are my masters, that people that I went into cinema because of them. But then again, I'm not, whatever comes after, I'm not trying to make a film that has to match that. I'm trying to make the best film that I can. If there's a great story out there, then we make it, and we try to make the best film that exists without thinking, oh, this film has to now be in Cannes again. This film has to now be better than Cannes. Like, I think this is, like Dina said, it's the wrong way to look at it, because then you start making a film for others and forget about what your film really is about. For your second question, sorry, remind me again, what was the... Oh, why it's just documentary? Because as opposed to a documentary, you get to control the story more. If you do a narrative, I get to control what the story is and where it goes and how it ends up. There's a very a lot of interesting things that could happen in a documentary, but you get to control that if this guy ever reaches his destination or not, if he ever gets to find out why his father left him. These elements of control are really interesting, and then again, you get to really tell the story that you want to tell.
Hello, I'm Nasreen Alam from the BBC in London. Yeah. My question is regarding the title of the film. YOMEDDINE means Judgment Day, and it has very strong religious connotations. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like a journey of being abandoned by a father, mm-hmm. and then finding that father, and finding if that father hates you or rejects you, and finding somehow a sort of absolution for a guilt that you have never done. Did you have this connotation or this religious idea in mind while choosing the title and while making the film?
Yeah, so everything that happens in terms of like religion and politics in the film is not a statement. It's more like, it just happens to be like that. So for example, for the title specifically, something really interesting happened while I was shooting the documentary and getting to notice people is that a lot of them are very religious. And a lot of them, I kept hearing that sentence that like, on Judgment Day we'll all be equal. And as cheesy as it sounds, if this is their motto in a way, because throughout their whole life they've been judged by their looks, and they're waiting for the day when they are judged by the characters. At the same time, I didn't want to, Judgment Day is kind of the, it's kind of the theme of the film running through, even when he like meets the Royes under the bridge and things like that. People think that way. I had a very interesting encounter with a woman in the leper village that she said a sentence that was very interesting to me. And she said, when God blessed me with leprosy, I moved here. And she wasn't being sarcastic. She didn't mean when he blessed me with leprosy. She said when he blessed me, she saw it as a blessing, because whatever happens is fate and you cannot undo it. And there's no point in like wallowing in self-pity and being sad about yourself. You just continue with your life. And that is, that's where this idea of YOMEDDINE comes from, that like people, they're just waiting. They're very religious. They believe that, on Judgment Day, everyone's going to be equal, but until then, we're going to live our lives.
Yes. How did you direct those new professional actors, and they're so comfortable with their character? They're there. They're going their way. How did you direct those wonderful person?
Well, I took a very long time to workshop with them. After we cast them, I started meeting them privately. and over a period of 4 months, tried to make him understand exactly, what the process is. Obviously, in the beginning, only talking about personal lives, like really just like winning their trust and getting to know them. And then eventually you start, getting a little more into like the elements of what a film is and filmmaking and how everything works. And then
That's the camera.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like the basics that you just ABC of filmmaking, kind of that you had to like just so you understand it. Also, one of the major obstacles was that they are not able to read and write, so we had to find a different way to like memorize the script, and obviously they're gonna have issues with hitting their marks and then looking and the timing and all that. So that's why we also chose that style of filmmaking where it's more, we are working around them and not them working around us.
And were they talking together for a long time? Did they just knew themselves before shooting?
Yeah, I think by the time we were ready to shoot, we were so close. I mean, it's been there was so many months where we were together, and then during the shoot we also lived together. So like we just like trusted each other very much. That kind of there was like this blind trust that like whatever happens is like it's like planned, and we were trying to do it. Yeah.
And well, that's a question a little bit delicate, but Radi Gamal has the face of a leper. He knows that. But did he look at himself on the screen? Did you say, no, you don't look at yourself on the screen, you just do what we do, and we see that later on?
Well, during the shoot, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, during the shoot, we never showed footage to him, just because of, I mean, even for a regular actor, they become self-conscious, and they start performing, and it might backfire. And I didn't want him to like start getting a wrong idea and then start performing. I mean, he was already like really natural, and I think we got him in a way where to a position where like we can really control like what we're getting. And he eventually did see the film when we were done with it.
And what was the reaction?
Oh, he liked it. He liked it a lot. He's so happy with it. Like I was talking to him a few days ago, and there's this news clip that was on Egyptian media where they talk about the film, and I showed it to him once, and he downloaded it on his phone, and he told me that he just keeps watching it over and over again. He's just like really happy to be mentioned, and that it's out there. Yeah.
Excuse me. On a lighter side, how did you two meet, and when did you get involved with the film? Were you already married? Or,
No.
Okay. So how did you get to know Abu Bakr?
A friend of mine told me about the script. There was another producer actually on board, and I came on as a co-producer. And over time, she had to go do something else. So we had already clicked as a team, and in terms of the creative and in terms of what we see for the film. So he asked me to be the lead producer. So I said okay. and we didn't start dating until like maybe right before production. And that was really hard. But as soon as we were done with the film, we decided, I think we've gone through the hardest thing we'll ever go through in our lives. I think marriage will be a piece of cake. And then we were like, let's just do it. Let's just get married. And we did, and we're still together.
Still working.
And still working, and I think creatively, on a personal level, on a professional level, we complete each other so well. And I would have never. There's no other person that I would like to make. I mean, I'd love to make movies with other people. That's not. but in terms of just my life partner in many things, there's no one that I would want beyond this person.
I think it's very important.
We can call a good association.
It's very important. Like it's very important that you not just get along, but also like to have the same creative like ideas, and you're on the same like we call it, just like you have the same feeling about what you're trying to do, what that film is, what you're trying to achieve with it.
And also just this understanding of how grueling being a filmmaker is in general.
Because it was a grueling shoot. It was like I can't sugarcoat it. It was a very, very, very difficult shoot on so many levels. We were shot for 32 or 33 days.
32.
32. But they were spread out over 4 months because it was just like the amount of problems and issues that would come up. Do you want to tell the story about the legless?
Okay.
What was the worst
So,
issue?
There is no amount of planning that could be done that could have prevented things that happened on the shoot. I don't know. I think like we're maybe a little cursed. I don't know. But Abu had written the part of Hamid, the man with no legs,
Yes.
for a person that he had met in the street. And this person he didn't act ever, he wasn't involved with any of that kind of stuff. And the day of, we had prepared him because we know like people don't understand, if you're not an actor or you don't work in film, you don't understand the consequences of certain decisions that you make. So we prepared him. We said, okay, like you have to give us your word. Like this isn't a joke. Like there's 60 people on set. There's a lot of money on the line. If you don't want to do this, just tell us. It's okay. And he's like, no, I want to do it. Let's go for it. And so the day of, we sent out first our crew to prepare the location. And this is under the bridge. And it's not like a very safe area by any means. And so we had, our crew there, and they're preparing, and then he called and he said he's not, his bike is broken. So we said, okay, we'll come get you, and we'll take your bike and we'll fix it for you, and, everything will be okay. And then he said, okay, and then he hung up and he called us back. He said, my wife isn't feeling well. So we said, okay, we'll take your wife to the hospital and we'll come get you. And then there's like a million excuses that came. So eventually we were like, okay, you clearly don't want to do this. So we had to shut down the set. And the people that we had hired to kind of protect us under the bridge, they didn't want to let us go. And they thought we already got what we wanted. And we had to give them their money, and it was really terrifying. But so there was this back and forth with them. Oh no, you need to give us our money, and you cheated us. And we were like, we swear, like the guy who came, like he didn't come, the actor, and he's not an actual actor, so he doesn't understand the consequences, and and it's really hard to get a replacement right now. I mean, it's really difficult. And there was this one person, part of that group, who was standing behind listening. And after our lives were flashing before our eyes. And so he came up and he said, so you mean the only issue here is that you need a guy with no legs?
That's the point.
And we were like, I swear. Like it sounded like a lie, but we were like, we really need a guy with no legs for this part. And he said, I got a guy. I got a guy for you. And we're like, where? How? So they brought Yasser to the office the next day, and he read the sides, and he's never acted before. And he said, I see myself in this man, and I want to do this role.
Ah, good.
And we could have never found someone like him if we were looking.
Yes.
And the fact that he came through this manner, through in a very dangerous situation, he came out like I think we're lucky. We were lucky to find him. And
yes, we said miracle.
Yeah, and it was miraculous. It was really a miracle.
At that meeting with no legs and a midget, and and it's sort of community and sort of friendship and love.
Yeah.
And at that moment, with all those problems and the fate so hard, we said, well, YOMEDDINE is a feel-good movie. And we have that deep feeling. Are you?
Yeah, I mean, we always wanted to make a film that you don't come out of and feel bad about. Like, why would you do that? Especially when the characters themselves,
Yes.
or even the actors playing the characters, are not, again, wallowing in self-pity. It should be a feel-good movie because they feel good about themselves. So why lie?
And they just want to know where they belong. And at the end, they do know where they belong. And that's the question we ask for ourselves. Anytime, So,
yeah, I think that the idea of home and finding home is a running theme that everyone always asks themselves, and
And this film serves as a reminder, we're all human beings. And I know we live in a time where sometimes we forget this.
Yes.
And there's a lot of separation and disunity.
Yes.
And I feel like, I'm not speaking as a producer, I'm speaking as a spectator. This film is a refreshing film. And it's a film that kind of gives you hope for humanity at large.
Exactly. Because even the little boy, the wonderful boy, is an orphan, and is a Nubian, and a Nubian is an outcast in Egypt, more or less.
No, I wouldn't say that they're outcasts. Again, we weren't trying to make any bigger statements about treatment. We just wanted to show just different faces of it.
Yes.
And the main character is a Coptic Christian, the boy is a Nubian, but we didn't wanted to get into the idea of are they mistreated or anything. For me, it was more about I just want to tell a story through their eyes.
Yes.
And them just living their lives. They were, we were trying to, we're not, I know there's this expectation of Middle Eastern films that they have to include politics or religion, and we're not trying to do that. We are trying to just make a good film showing people, struggling because life is difficult and everyone's struggling, but
more or less.
Well, yeah, but trying to get by, and it doesn't matter, if they're, if this is, Egypt or any other country, but we're trying to make a good film, and hopefully that if people watch that Egyptian film in a different part of the world, and they still feel for it, then I think we did that it worked.
Yes, but Egyptian cinema, we heard it was not so easy to finance that film. But what about generally the Egyptian cinema has difficulties to finance films?
Egypt has first of all, a very big industry. It's also a very big history in cinema.
Yes, of course.
It reaches back over 100 years. It's a very, there's a lot of mainstream. There's a bigger independent scene that is going on there. I think the difficulties from us were not a systematic thing as much as it was just that, the difficulties that come with the subject of the film and the fact that the filmmakers are first-time filmmakers. When they made the announcement for Cannes, everyone's first question was who are these people? Who is this guy and this girl that made this film? It's just we were. I think the difficulties was that we were outsiders to the industry. But the industry there is it's very established. They have a big industry, and again the history of Egyptian cinema goes back for so long that I wouldn't even know where to begin with praising it, because I feel it's underrepresented internationally. I wish it would be more present.
So, well, of course, the question is now to Dina Ayman and A.B. Shawky, what is the next film?
What about the next
Well, we have a few ideas marinating. But yeah,
I think, obviously there's 5 different things that I would like to do next. But I think the real question...
Not 10 years for...
No,
that's
not going to happen.
I don't know how long his life is. Yeah. No, but I think that we're just trying to do a good story. And, my main aim for my first feature was to make it in Egypt, because that is my home. but I want to make a good story regardless of where it is and what it is. I hope that I can continue to make good Egyptian films that hopefully get seen in Egypt and outside of Egypt. But we are trying, what really matters is that the story is there, and that there's a good story there that we can then show to people, and then hopefully when people see it, they think of us in a different light, because that is also something that has been an issue.
Yeah.
That there's also so many misconceptions I just want to put, I want people to watch this film and not think about all the things that people are constantly bombarded with in the news, and those misconceptions and cliches.
Of course. Well, for the moment, thank you for YOMEDDINE, humanity, tenderness,
Thank
friendship.
you. I'm very happy that